Jace Tunnell here. Today we're going to be talking about red mangrove seeds. I'm sure that you have probably seen these on the beach before and you thought, that looks like a vegetable, like some sort of asparagus or something like that. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what these seeds are, where they come from, and how you can grow them. Okay, so these seeds are from the red mangrove tree. And I call it a tree even though we have had some here growing in the coastal bend, but they always only seem to get the size of like a bush. And then a freeze comes and kills them. And so y'all remember that freeze back in 2021 where we had ice all over the marsh, all over the black mangroves, which actually killed a bunch of black mangroves. They're coming back. But those red mangroves, it killed all of them off that we had, and none of them are left as far as I know. And I've been to everywhere that I knew where these were before that freeze hit. And they actually had seeds on them. I'll put some video in there about that, especially over around Aransas Bay area. I know there was one up at Cedar Bayou, just in random spots among the black mangroves. And so if you don't know what a black mangrove is, I've done videos on those before, but this is what the seed looks like from a black mangrove. And so it looks like a lima bean. You got the roots that come off of it, falls off the tree, and then ends up getting planted and grows that way, but looks totally different than a red mangrove seed. You can see the difference there. The red mangrove seed actually stays on the tree until it's about 8 inches in size. It will actually start growing its roots before it even falls off. Then once it falls off, it gets into the waterway, gets pushed back up into some muddy, nasty areas, which it likes to grow in. It can tolerate like really high salinity areas, so it'll get stuck in the mud, like low oxygenated areas, high salinity, and then start growing. The ones that we find here on the beach, not all of them are viable, and they're one of the easiest plants that you can grow. That's kind of why I wanted to tell you about this. But the ones that you find on the beach, like this one here, it looks dead. This is actually the top of it where the leaves would be coming out. You can see the roots here, and they don't all have roots. So like here's one that's probably 12 inches long here. And this one probably wouldn't survive either. You can see the little sprout that would come up that would have the leaves on it. That's dried up, so that one probably wouldn't survive. This one, let me show you. Oop, I'm dropping them all here. But I did find one here that has one little root coming off of it, and they don't necessarily even have to have any roots coming off of it yet. But it has leaves, and they can even survive if they don't have a leaf. Normally, the ones that I have found don't even have a leaf on it, and it will just have the sprout that's green. That's what you're looking for, if that sprout's green. And I have grown like 100 of these before. This would have been probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago. I grew about 100 of them because I had a bright idea where I was gonna, this was gonna be a stabilization project for rookery islands out in the bay. So I was gonna go out, instead of spending millions of dollars putting rock around a rookery island to protect it from erosion, I was gonna go buy, $1 worth of PVC, stick it in there in the top of it with some sand and sediment, and then watch it grow. That's what they do over in Florida for restoration projects. But these things do not like the cold. If it even gets down to like a frost type level, they will freeze. So luckily, I tried to get a permit through Texas Parks and Wildlife. Luckily, they said, no way. See, I got a bunch of ideas. Only about half of them are good though. Here's one right here that has a lot of roots coming off of it. And so this one actually might be viable. So I'm gonna put these in water when I get home, and I'm gonna see if I can get these to grow. Now, after a year, these things would probably be about 2 foot in size. And you just put them in tap water. So you could get a cup from your house, put tap water in it, and just drop it in there. No dirt, no sand, nothing like that needed. They can grow in fresh water, even though they prefer the high salinity water. It's just because fresh water, there are other plants that crowd them out. And so really they have no chance if you're gonna plant them in a freshwater environment in nature. Now, Now, very few plants can tolerate high salinity water. That's why they thrive in those kind of areas. These make great fish habitat. One way you can tell that this is a red mangrove tree is that they will have these crazy roots that start off the trunk of the tree and then come way out and then down into the water. And they don't even need to be connected down into the ground or anything. They just dangle up there, and they have fish that are all around in there. They have barnacles, mussels, all kinds of animals and algae and stuff living on these things. They create their own habitat, basically. That's why they're real productive if you ever go down to like Mexico or Florida or you know, Central South America, where these trees can get up to 80 foot tall. That's where you want to go fishing for like snapper, mangrove snapper and stuff like that. These are actually protected in Florida. So if you have a plant, you know, mangrove plant that's in front of your house and it's like, oh, it's blocking my view, you can't just go trim it. They're actually protected. You gotta get special permits and all this kind of stuff. And if you hurt them, you've got to do what they call mitigation. So like there's a developer that wants to come in and knock down an acre worth of these so that they can build a development. They're gonna have to build like 4 acres to be able to make up for that 1 acre. So it can be real costly to be able to try to, you know, get rid of these things. Alligators love living within these. Now, since we don't have them here, you know, we have alligators here for sure, but since we don't have red mangroves here, you don't necessarily have to worry about going to the same place of alligators and red mangroves. You'd have to go down to like Florida for something like that, or definitely down into Mexico. These aren't edible. You can't eat them, but there are a lot of uses, like medical uses. They've been used in the past the bark anyway, can be used to treat boils, fungal infections. They make a bark out of the, out of the bark they make a plaster. And so the plaster can actually be, has been used to be able to heal fractured bones. Probably the last thing here is that these red mangroves, like you're not supposed to be able to ship them over state lines according to Texas. You know, they don't want you buying them and then trying to plant them or something here. That would be considered, you know, an invasive species coming in, because they can have other things that are growing on them. Now these washed up. I'm finding a bunch of these right now. I actually found all of these within like I don't know, 200 foot section. So there was a bunch of them washing in at the time I'm doing this video. However, you can go on like eBay and stuff, and they'll sell you these things. So it just depends on what state you're in and what you're gonna do with them. So my advice is, if you find one on the beach that looks viable, put it in water. Wine bottles are perfect for that. They grow up beautiful plants, and it's the easiest plant to take care of. Just add water, tap water. Okay, all right, that's it for this episode of Beachcombing. Hopefully you know what these red mangroves are, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.